Hey y'all, welcome back to Of Earth and Ether podcast with your host Bria, founder of Herbal Everything's, a holistic wellness brand. This is episode 3, the layered lens. So let's just get right into it. Disclaimer before we start. Nothing presented in this podcast is intended to replace the advice of a licensed medical professional. This is for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any diseases. It's purely for educational purposes only. So, the layered lens. So, this episode is really getting into what did I say in the last episode? Uh, I think I said something about structure, energetics. Basically, this episode is going to be a digestible breakdown of the actual systems that back the program that will be opening up this spring. And also just the outside literature, the external literature I found to complement or confirm my own perspective and what I was starting to pull out for myself. So basically, this episode, in one sense, is I'm not talking out my neck with any of this stuff. So to get right into it, dosha. So the main aspect of oh, I'm doing something new with my audio this time too, guys. I didn't know the last one sounded funky, so hopefully this one sounds better. I appreciate y'all patience as I get my equipment together and learn all of my stuff out. But doshas. So um the very first thing that we get into is energetic constitution. So your energetic constitution is basically your home energy, but it's compared to, or it moves like the elements. So in Ayurveda, which is a system of holistic medicine, holistic healing that has been around for over 5,000 years, the energetic constitution is referred to as a dosha. So your dosha or your doshas, they influence how energy moves throughout your body, and that affects how you process things on every level. So with my program, my perspective being layer based, it's not just looking at your physical dosha, it's also looking at your emotional dosha and your mental dosha. So you have a dominant dosha or a dominant energy at that governs how your energy moves at each layer of your being. So the physical dosha, the way that that one moves is going to determine, or not determine, it's going to guide the way that your body processes things on a physical level. So your elimination, your digestion, circulation, things like that. The emotional dosha is going to, what was the word I just said? Guide. The dominant emotional dosha guides how you emotionally process. So how you relate to other people, how what you do with your emotions when you get them. Like, do you spill everything out and cuss everybody out, or do you hold it in and act like nothing's wrong with you, or are you like somebody that goes back and forth between both in a matter of seconds? That is what the dosha, the dominant dosha guides at the emotional level, and then at the mental level, it's governing how your thoughts are actually moving, um, and how your ideas are connecting to each other, how engaged you are with your environment. These things are all determined by your individual energetic constitution, or your dosha if you're looking at it through an Ayurvedic lens. Now, what is the dosha? I mean, we just said that. Uh, the elements of each dosha. What are the doshas? That's what I meant to say. So there are 3 primary doshas. Everybody has all 3 present, but again, at certain levels, layers, Um, one tends to be, can be, not, that's not always the case, but most times there is one that is more dominant or more prevalent than the other ones, but everybody has all three. So dosha number one is called vata. Vata is the elements of air contained by ether. So that's like typically associated with the concept of the mind in Ayurveda, manas, but that's your spiritual. If you had to compare them or like assign your dosha to a different part of you, at least in my view, vata is the mind, the spirit. That's air and ether. You can't see either one of those things, but they exist, and nothing can exist without ether to hold it in. And air is movement. Nothing would be anything if there were no movement. So vata is air contained by ether. The second dosha is pitta. Pitta is the element of fire contained by water. And then the third dosha is kapha. Kapha is the element of water contained by earth. So each of these things, they can be dominant regardless of what layer you're looking at, whether it's your body, your physical body layer, your emotional layer, or the mental layer, or manas. If they looking at it Ayurveda, they call it manas. And again, depending on your dominant dosha, that's going to determine how you process things energetically at that level. And that affects everything. So your holding patterns, again, the way you express, your lack of expression, all of that plays into your energetic constitution, your dominant doshas. So with that being said, I'm going to give y'all an example, some examples. I was going to sit here and break down, like when I was studying this, I gave myself examples in nature, which I still might mention, but I was being called to rewatch Avatar: The Last Airbender. I rewatch that show every year, but I just recently got called, like felt I was being drawn to watch it again. And it's like every time I rewatch that show, I peep something new. Like that show is so spiritual. Top two of all time. But this time around, what's standing out to me is how there's a character in that show that perfectly exemplifies how the doshas show up in people. So instead of me trying to break it down, and again, we're just gonna see how I feel, how things flow. But instead of me trying to break it down in a natural example, the show, it got the perfect examples, and I got a specific episode. If you want to watch it, I'm gonna plug that in there. But before I get to that, Prakruti versus Vikruti. So, with that being said, everybody has their own energetic constitution, their home energy, like I was saying at the beginning. So, you have an energy that happens at the moment of conception. It's called a Prakruti. It's your original creation, original constitution at the moment of your conception. Your Vikruti is what is the current state of health or the current imbalance. So when you're created or at the moment of conception, your energy is a certain way, and that's whatever goes into that is determined by your parents, the environment, everything like that. And then it's like as your embryo or whatever starts developing, different factors can influence your Prakruti to the point where it's no longer what it was at the original creation. So, you know how your parents eat, their diets, their lifestyles, their environment. Is your mom stressed out? Whatever your mama feeling while you in her belly, in her womb, you gonna feel it too. So all of these things can affect your energetic constitution and changing it from what it was when you were first conceived and what it is now. So, and that's just in the womb. Once you outside the body, of course, there's more factors because now you got, toxins from the environment. You got, the kids be getting shot up every couple of years at the doctors, and the food, like all of that stuff affects your constitution. So if you're looking at your original constitution, your original creation at the moment of conception is called your prakruti. And then your current state of health or the current state of imbalance is called the vikruti. And those are two different states because your current state, what you're currently presented as, doesn't necessarily have to be what your original energy is, because different stages in life can just, make you more prone to different imbalances. So yeah, now that that's established, boom, we got our doshas, we got our elements. How does this look in a person? So Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you've never seen the show, you have to watch it. But if you have, it's on Netflix. The episode I would recommend y'all to watch, that I feel like if you don't watch the show, you can watch that one episode and still get a grasp of what I'm talking about. It is season 2, episode 9. It's called Bitter Work. That's the name of the episode. So in this episode, this is where Aang and Toph are. Aang is learning how to earth bend for the first time from Toph, and he's going through his thing because he's an airbender. So if you're looking at the doshas, Aang is the representation of Vata, air and ether. He's an airbender. And Toph is earth, but I personally wouldn't associate her with Kapha, because Kapha is earth and water. Toph is just earth. Like, she doesn't give water energy at all. She's very stubborn, very tough, very hard, like just like earth. But earth is his complete opposite. So he's dealing with all of these, like, she's trying to teach him how to earth bend, and he's like, oh, I can't do it. And she like, stand on all 10, get in your stance. And if you're trying to move a rock, you got to be as stubborn as a rock. But him being air, primarily air, he's thinking about, oh, how many different ways can I try it this way? Can I try it this way? Can I try it this way? Like, that's that air energy. So if you do watch the show, then just pay attention to Aang. Like, another episode that really stuck out to me, and this is where it really clicked for me, was when he was fighting Boomy, and Boomy's, throwing the rocks at him, and he's just dodging everything. Aang is just dodging everything. And Boomy was like, typical airbender, evade and avoid. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how Vata energy operates. Like, it's like you literally just think about the wind. They flow with the wind. Wherever it goes, they going with it. And there's excess, there's deficiency, there's balance. So it's gonna look different depending on the person. But at the end of the day, he's like a perfect representation of Vata energy because of how quickly he moves, how spontaneous he is, how it's like, okay, he's always thinking about, can I try it this way? Can I try it this way? Can I try it this way? Like, that quick, impulsive, go with the flow, go with the wind type of energy. That's perfect, like, personification of Vata energy. So look at Aang if you want to look at Vata. Katara. Katara is a waterbender. Katara is I feel like the perfect representation of the water aspect of Kapha, because if you're looking at elements, technically 2 of them would be in this one. You have water and earth in Kapha, but Katara is definitely the water aspect because she's emotional. She's very sentimental. She is very caring. She's nurturing, and she's not like rigid. Like, she flows just like water. And then it's just like the emotional aspect, the sentimental aspect. She's very, like, I don't want to say motherly because they ended up having kids, so that would be weird. But she has that very nurturing energy towards Aang and Loki, everybody in a group. And she's like the perfect representation of Kapha because, again, you got she making sure, okay, y'all, we run out of supplies. We got to stop at a village. She's making sure everybody eat, everybody nourished. She's very nurturing. She's emotional. She expresses her emotions. Like, that's the water elemental when it comes to Kapha. And then you got the earth element. I feel like Sokka is a perfect example because he got the water in him because he is from the water tribe, but he's also very stubborn. But it's not the same type of stubborn as pure earth with no water, like Toph. So like he like very practical, for lack of a better word. Um, he would be the person that in today's society would be like, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. If I can't touch it, it doesn't exist. But at the same time, he also recognizes like, okay, because he say all the time, your little avatar stuff is kind of weird, but like he acknowledges it exists, but that's not necessarily what guides him. So it's like he has the stubbornness and the practicality of the earth element, but it's not rigid to the point where you can't move him like Toph, like earth. So just look at the two water tribe people, Sokka and Katara. That'll really give you a picture of Kapha. And then Aang, look at him. That'll give you a picture or personification, I should say, of how Vata energy is. And then when it comes to Pitta, fire contained by water, Zuko. So in this same episode, this is where what happened in that episode? This is where Iroh was teaching Zuko how to redirect lightning, and he was getting upset. And Zuko in general, Pitta excess, cause he just one track minded. All his only objective in the beginning of the show, only objective. I gotta find Avatar. I gotta restore my honor. I gotta get my honor back. I gotta, please my father. X, Y, and Z. Like one track minded. Nothing else matters other than him catching the Avatar and restoring his honor. He be crashing out on his uncle, and his uncle just be trying to help him. He be like anything, like he don't even, he's like a 16-year-old. He don't act like a teenager because he's so focused on, oh my gosh, I gotta get the Avatar and restore my destiny. Like he's so focused and like just like that's just the best way to describe, like, because he definitely represents excess Pitta, but the fire energy in general is really like exemplified in him, because you could see that ultimately it's like passion underneath there, but when you let that get out of control, you start burning stuff down, you start destroying stuff, including destroying yourself, which is why he ended up going through the character development that he did, 10 out of 10. But throughout the story, the whole 3 seasons, just if you watch the show, rewatch it and just look at how he acts. In the beginning, it's like he has Pitta excess, too much fire, too much heat. And then, he had that change. And then at that point, he low-key had Pitta deficiency because he couldn't even firebend no more, because he realized that he was firebending off of his anger. But once he let the anger go, it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Where am I drawing my strength from now? And then he had to find, so he definitely represents or personifies the Pitta energy. So if you looking at these things in a person, how they show up, like when it comes to each level of processing, mental processing, emotional processing, physical processing, the dominant dosha energy is going to guide how it goes. So if we're looking at the example, if you, let's say you have a dominant Vata body dosha, think about Aang, how everything just be moving willy-nilly. That might be how your body moves, like spontaneous. One day it's like this, the next day it's completely opposite. Like that spontaneous energy, that might be, it's different factors to everything, but ultimately that's one example of how that would show up. So if, let's say, you have Pitta dominant emotional dosha, you might be like Zuko, like your emotions take over you and you just get the setting everything on fire to the point where you look up and you done burn down the whole place. That might be your thing, like, but you also got the opposite end of it. And then let's say you have a Kapha mental dosha, you might hold on to things, contain things, because earth element is the container in the physical realm, and water holds things. Water is alive. Water has memory. Water accumulates. Like if you have that mentally and that governs your mental processing, you might be the type to hold on to things too long. You overthink things. You're overanalyzing things. Different, and again, it shows up differently if it's excess versus deficiency versus balance. But just some examples. So Season 2, episode 9, Bitter Work. It's on Netflix. Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you're looking for like a personification type, I don't watch like real people shows. So if I recommend the show to y'all, it's a 90% chance it's going to be a cartoon because I don't watch real people shows. But season 2, episode 9 is called Bitter Work on Netflix. Avatar: The Last Airbender. So yeah, that's not really too much, but again, Ayurveda is a 5,000 plus zero system of holistic medicine. They take into account the whole person, so they're not just going to see you presenting with period cramps and be like, oh, here's birth control. They're going to ask, okay, or they're going to take into account um your doshas. They're going to take into account your diet. They're going to take into account your environment at home, your lifestyle. Do you live in the city? Do you live in the suburbs? Do you live in a rural area? They're going to take into account your emotional experiences. Have you experienced any trauma recently or at all that you haven't let go of, or have you been processing this trauma? They're going to take into account your relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to look at the whole person. They're going to look at your mental processing, um, your emotional processing, your physical processing, and they're working with redirecting the flow of energy as opposed to just here's a pill. And that, me studying Ayurveda, specifically doshas, that's the same thing that I have done on myself, as I stated in the last episode. What was it called? From Mind to Matter. Um, Me learning my own doshas, and I started off only knowing about physical. I didn't know anything about emotional or mental at the time, but I learned my dosha. I learned my doshas, and that showed me my holding patterns, how my energy moves. And me knowing, okay, I have excess here, I have a deficiency here, I have excess here. Now I'm able to, okay, I know which direction my energy needs to flow in order to restore balance. So then I started, okay, my physical layer, I know what direction I need to move my energy in. I'm doing physical practices and working with herbs that work on physical systems specifically, to redirect the flow of energy in the right way. And boom, it worked. And then I'm like, okay, I'm noticing the same holding patterns my body was exhibiting are the same exact holding patterns that I have emotionally. So then it's like, okay, what direction do my emotional energy need to go in? Figured that out. Now that's one of those things. It's like my emotional dosha energy got off because of the way my mental dosha energy. So it wasn't necessarily something I had to act on directly. It's just you work on the mental, and that's gonna flow because I wasn't allowing things to flow to my, emotionally, because I was holding them too much at the mental level. So for me, that's mainly like a. It's no specific herbs that I have to take right now in order to get my energy flowing in the right way. That's kind of just like a loosen your grip, basically. That's what my thing was for me emotionally. Physically, I did have to work with actual herbs and practices, but emotionally it was more so like a yes, practices, but as far as like herbs, I didn't need that right then. I just needed to loosen my grip. And then same thing at the mental level, like figured out which direction things needed to go in, got the herbs, got the practices, everything, and again we good. Like, I didn't been to doctors again, tried to hand me a pill or just dismiss me. I dealt with like out of commission type period cramps every single month for 10, 15 years. And I wasn't able to remedy that until I learned my energy and my energetic constitution, my doshas. And, just recognize my body is just replicating how I hold emotionally and mentally. So if I want to truly experience change, I have to work with my whole being, not just one layer, not just the physical, and ignore everything else. Um, and yeah, like this, life changing, literally life changing. Everybody needs to know themselves beyond a physical level. Like I said in the last episode, everybody needs to know themselves beyond a physical level, because can't nobody tell you about you better than you. Like, you are the only person that can really tell you what's going on with you. Like you could go to somebody outside of you, but they not in your body with you. They can't feel what you feel. They can't feel what you feel. And even when it comes to doctors and stuff, again, amazing for emergency medicine, but day-to-day care, ass. Um, they just be guessing. And this is coming from somebody who has and had, but has family members that be regularly in and out the hospital. They don't be knowing what the hell going on either. They just, yeah, they got machines and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's all speculation. So it's like y'all don't know. You trusted these people to tell you what's wrong with you. They don't even know what the hell going on either. Like you the only person that really know that. So it's up to us to learn ourselves. And this is what I will be guiding other women with doing this year through my Layered Lens program. So I have a date, guys. Applications open April 5th. They be open from April 5th to April 18th. Um, all the instructions on how to apply for the program are on my website, herbaleverythings.com. It should be linked in the description or the show notes, whichever platform you're watching on. But I did this without knowing that this would become a program. So it's like y'all getting a structured version of the work that I did on myself, with myself, for myself. And that helped me get the results that I've been looking for over 15 years and nobody else was able to give me. I'm going to be guiding y'all through that. And it's like, I'm not going to just be telling you this is this, this is this, this. It's a guide. So like I said, everybody needs to learn themselves. I'm just guiding you through the process of learning yourself and helping you see how, okay, we're going to identify your doshas, which direction they need to go in, which direction are they currently in, which direction do they need to go in to restore balance, and reflecting all these things back to you as you tell me what you experiencing so that you are able to see this is how your energy moves and you learning the language of your body. I'm going to be a guide to help other people do that. This year specifically, 2026 for women, but there will be programs for everybody in the future. And yeah, applications open April 5th to 18th. And that's really it. I was going to, do I want to get into astrology? Do I want to get into astrology? Why not? Right. Okay. So, and I'm not going to go too deep, but a lot of the elements that end up being your dominant dosha are connected to your astrology chart, your natal chart. But the thing is with that, if you're in the West, like most of my, people are, we be looking at the wrong chart because we go off of tropical astrology charts. The tropical astrology charts go based on the calendar. At one point in time, the calendar and the sky were in alignment, but that has not been the case for a couple of 100 years. So a lot of people are going around flaunting these energies. Oh, I'm a Virgo, I do this. Oh, I'm a Scorpio, I do this. And it's like, baby, you're not. You're not even a Virgo for real. You're not even a Scorpio for real. You think you're a Virgo the whole time you're a Leo. Like, everybody, again, like, don't, we just so disconnected from our own energies because we're relying on external systems. The calendar has not been adjusted to reflect the change in the Earth's angle and how that affected at what point in time the sun moves into certain constellations. So when it comes to connecting the two for your energetic constitution, your dosha, you should be looking at your sidereal chart or your Vedic chart because Vedas, the Vedic astrology and Ayurveda come from the same body of knowledge. So if you could look at your chart in dominant elements, if you have a chart that's mainly water, you can likely assume that somewhere along the line you have a dominant kapha dosha. If you have a chart that's mainly fire, somewhere along the line you have a dominant pitta dosha. And the same thing for earth and water, that would be kapha. But it's the right chart because, again, if you're looking at tropical astrology, hold on, y'all. TT is thirsty. Shit. Oh my god, my throat is dry as shit. Pardon me. Ooh. Okay. I'm over here trying to hold it in. I'm gonna die. Shit. Okay. Excuse me. What was I just talking about? I was talking about looking at your Vedic or sidereal astrology chart. And for the people who may be like, um, they don't really see the correlation between the positioning of the stars and how it affects you. I just want to give you an example. So let's say you're you're an embryo, right? You in your mama's stomach. The position of the environment that you come into when you enter the world physically is going to affect everything about you. That's literally what we spend our entire lives doing, is undoing childhood trauma. The environment that you come into is going to affect the way that you are. So if you, let's say you live in an apartment and, excuse me, there's a couch that blocks a door, and it's been like that your whole life, as long as you can remember, this couch has always been in front of this door. You never went in that door. It might not have even occurred to you that it was a door, because the whole time that you've been alive, it's been a couch in front of the door. Um, and that couch being in front of that door restricts you from seeing whatever is behind it. You can't see what's behind that because it's a couch right there. And that's simply based on the positioning of the furniture in your house. It affects what you are and are not able to do. It affects what you are and are not able to access. It affects the way you relate to other people. If there's a person on the other side of that door, say it's like a townhouse or something, and that's why if it's people on the other side of that door, you can't reach it or you can't get to it because there's a couch right there, then that's going to affect the way you are able to connect to people. That's going to affect the way that you express yourself because, you know, maybe it's a window next to the couch and what the fuck? Excuse my French. A bird just flew into my window. What was I just saying? We were talking about a couch. Anyways, so I'm saying all that to say, let's compare this couch. What comes to me is Saturn, right? This is just like the couch is restricting you from being able to see what's on the other side, what's on the floor behind the couch, what's on the other side of the door, what's inside the door. Like, just like that couch, that couch's physical position is restricting you from being able to see what's on the other side of that door. The same thing is happening on the macro scale with the planets, because certain planets affect certain aspects of you. Everything is everything. And just like the moon pulls on the water, certain aspects of certain planets pull on you. When a full moon, and this was something, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, up until 2024, I didn't really believe it. When the moon be full, it pulls on your water too. Whether you acknowledge that or, I didn't realize this until 2024. And I started noticing every time the moon was full, I would be sad as hell. And that's because I was suppressing a whole bunch of my emotions. This was prior to me doing any learning about any dosha or anything like that. I was getting sad right after I would get off my period. And I'm like, normally that happens before my period, but like I'm sad right after my period. And I just so happened to look up one day. I vividly remember where I was leaving my nephew's birthday party. I was finna go to Maple Tree and get me some food, get me some jambalaya with the vegan cornbread muffins and a peach cobbler. I was on my way there, and I'm just like, why am I so sad? I just got off my period, and I just so happened to look up, and I'm sitting in my car. I look up, the moon full. I'm like, huh. Check my calendar. Like, this happened last time too, around the same time last month. Went on a little moon thing. The moon was full, and I started paying attention to it. After that, every single time the moon was full, all the emotions that I was suppressing started coming up to the point where I had to address them. So it's like, yes, the moon pulls on the ocean, it pulls on the tides, but it's also pulling on your water. So if you're looking at other planets, it's different aspects, because again, everything is made up of the same substance. It's only one like source of everything. Everything comes from everything. Like everything is everything. Everything comes from the same source. It's all made up of the same matter. So there's different aspects within you that different planets are affecting. And again, the positioning of them affects how you can operate, just like the couch. We're looking at Saturn. Saturn is typically like that discipline, that structure, that restriction. That's the perfect opportunity to compare that to a couch, because it's like, okay, if you have a Saturn in wherever placement house, I'm not too up on the houses and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But if it's in a placement where it's like it affects your monetary um life, then you might experience some restrictions in your finances up until whatever you work through or whatever point in time. Just like that couch, you can't get to the other side of the door because it's a couch right there, and you were born into that. That's just how it was. That's just how you program, because that's what you came into. That's when your spirit physically manifested. That's where the position of the planet was. So that's going to be something that you experience because that's the environment that you came into. That's just the best way for me to put it, because there's a lot of people that be like, oh, it's not real. And it's just, for me, it's too accurate to not be real. But one of the reasons why people say that is because, number one, like I just said, a lot of people be going off of these signs that they not actually are. So you going around talking about you a Virgo and you're not a Virgo, you're a Leo, because the sun was a Leo when you were born, but the calendar is telling you that that you're a Virgo. That's one reason why a lot of people be like, oh, it's a lie or it's not true. But another thing is because astrology and these types of like energetic systems that again have been around for thousands and thousands of years, way longer than the medicine that's currently practiced in the Western world. Um, these systems have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and shit, what was I finna say? I lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. I was talking about the first point being that people be thinking they the sign that they not, and then the second one, oh, a lot of people, like the energetic systems that are in place in the universe, um they affect, trying to pick my words correctly, they affect how you are, not what you are, if that makes sense. Like, yes, for me, I have a lot of water in my sidereal chart. That affects how I am. I just gave y'all the example. Water and earth, those two together are the physical manifestation of containment. So I tend to hold on to things too much, too long, too strongly. That's how I am, because elementally I am dominant water. If I was an asshole, that's not how I am. That's what I am. Like, people be blaming what they are on astrology, and it's like, no, that's not what you are. That's how you are. What you are is based on your experiences and how you adapted to your experiences. You could be an asshole, and that don't got nothing to do with you being a Taurus. You know what I'm saying? People be like, that affects how you are, not what you are. So I just, it's more to life than what you could see. There's much more than what's just physically there, intangible. And again, like I stated before in a previous episode, everything starts off in the mind, and the mind is not a tangible thing. So we again trying to address physical things without looking at the first and second steps of the physical. That's the last step. We got to look at the first two, the origin. And these are just the systems that we can look at to help provide some type of guidance or a framework for us to learn ourselves and our own energy, because everybody needs to know themselves. So um but yeah, that's it. The layered lens the layered lens program for the women's health track, applications open April 5th through 18th. I will be guiding 3 women per cohort through how to learn their body's language, how their body communicates to them, learning their energetic constitution, their doshas, and the directions that they need to be pushed in order to restore balance and harmony so that we can begin to heal our wounds on a level that our daughters and granddaughters are going to be able to feel. Um, but yeah, next episode is your mental mirror. So next episode is really going to be connecting how the body can tell you things if you're not in tune with your thoughts for real. If you're one of the people that tend to run from your thoughts, and that stops you from being able to get to your origin of your, your stuff you got going on, your body could tell you. Your body does tell you. And that episode is going to get into how. So, um, yeah, we'll see y'all in 2 more weeks.